Welcome back to the NorthWoods Churh Matters podcast. I'm Rachel, filling in for Matt while he's out on sabbatical. I'm here today with Zack, our student pastor. Welcome.
Howdy.
And Bobby, our lead pastor.
Yeah.
Always having fun around here.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're excited today to talk about the family ministry stuff that's happening here at NorthWoods. So that's why we've got these lovely guests in the room. So why don't we start off with just a definition? How do we define family ministry here at NorthWoods?
Yeah, family ministry, really, we try to emphasize that parents are in the driver's seat of discipleship. And so just to define some things, I pulled this right out of a book, but I thought it was helpful. Family ministry is the process of intentionally and persistently realigning a congregation's proclamation and practices so that parents are acknowledged, trained, and held accountable as the persons primarily responsible for the discipleship of their children. In other words, just to put simply, we recognize parents are in the driver's seat of discipling their kiddos. And so it's really just this mindset of constantly asking what's best for parents and how can we best equip parents to do the task that God's called them to do.
What are the name of your kids? There's Zane.
I've got Nate, who's 5, Zane, who is 3, and baby Theo will be here on September the 4th.
Baby Theo.
Congratulations on number 3. This is a shift from how many churches view things. That's why I'm asking name of your kids, because one of these days, you and Courtney will stand accountable before God for how you raised your kids. NorthWoods won't. I think so many families, what they do is they approach the spiritual life of their family as something that they ship out. And this is not that. Our first responsibility, maybe not our only responsibility, but our first responsibility is, in your case, how do we help Zack and Courtney with their kids, with Nate, Zane, and Theo on the way? That's how we understand family ministry, which means family actually overrides student. Family overrides kids ministry. Family ministry is the bigger deal.
Well, one of the things I love about the idea of family ministry is if you have issues with your kids, or because what parent doesn't on some level, right? Like if the church is not seen as the solution to the fix, right? But rather we're working alongside of each other, trying to equip the parents, and really life change starts with you. And that's how we go about things. All right, so what are some of the ministries that we have here at NorthWoods for families?
Sure. So we recognize the importance of just having a regular rhythm in the life of our kids. So you have kids that have ball practice or band practice or you name it. So the healthy rhythm of our church for kids ministry is Wednesday nights. And so we have Awana for our younger kids all the way through 6th grade. And then for our teenagers, we have student ministry. And so that's typically something that happens throughout the fall and the spring semesters. And then with summer, we change things up a bit. We have Sunday school that happens every Sunday during the first hour, and then for younger kids during the second hour. We have gathering for the kids. Gathering's a pretty unique and still rather new thing for us. And so just constantly trying to think through how can we best utilize that time for kids. And so we're trying to be creative with that, if I can say that. For our parents, we have a quarterly thing that we call family equipping seminars. And so those are designed to provide you guys with free lunch, free resources, and some helpful teaching on topics pertaining to parenting. And then we just have a variety of events. So we just got through with Vacation Bible School. We had camp for our teenagers the week before that. We're trying to do some family nights, and I'll talk about that some in a little bit. And so that's the majority of the things we offer.
I can't think of really anything else other than the things you said. The only piece that is out there that is it's for our church, but it's also very outreach, which is in the Easter time of the year. We do like an Easter egg hunt.
Oh, yeah.
And that Easter egg hunt is, in my mind, it's for our kids and children's ministry. But it's also for the community. It's designed really for us to engage with people we don't know. And I really, really am grateful that we do those kinds of things.
So what are some changes that are happening with family ministry?
Yeah, I don't know if some of these are so much changes, rather just re-emphasizing some things, clarifying some things. We recognize for us as a staff, we've talked about this some, that the main hour of the week for us as a church is when we gather as a church family on Sunday mornings. And I just shared the variety of ways that we have a ministry for kids and how we do want to minister to your kids in an age-appropriate way. But we definitely want to see families worshiping together with the body of Christ on Sunday mornings. And so we'll talk about some of the ways that we're trying to encourage that. But that is a newer thing that we're re-emphasizing. I think with that, I'll just go ahead and say, I think part of the issue of why parents don't bring kids to worship in some cases here at NorthWoods is because we don't have a ton of options. And so if you're like me, you want both and for your kids. You want your kids to have age-appropriate teaching in Sunday school class, but you also want them to be in worship. And so we're trying to provide some options because I don't expect you guys, parents, to sit in two services like I do. Don't expect you to drop your kid off at Sunday school and sit in the parking lot for an hour and then go to the second service. And so we're trying to provide some options. One thing that we will start talking about more is considering serving a service and coming to a service. Another thing that we're excited to start, and I'll talk about more in a little bit, is a new Sunday school class, particularly for equipping parents. That will happen during the first hour. So that gives parents the opportunity to drop their kids off to Sunday school and then go to a Sunday school class specifically geared towards equipping parents. And so that will happen, I believe, August the 25th is the date on that. And they'll be teaching through a book called Habits of the Household, Practicing the Story of God in Everyday Family Rhythms. And so we're excited about that.
What was the date on that?
August the 25th.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You know, who's teaching that class?
One of our elders, Dan King, is heading that up. Many of you guys know Dan, and so he'll be leading that. Troy Lucht will also be helping with that, and there will likely be some other men in the church that are gifted to teach that will help fill that role as well.
Yeah. Everything Zack has said, of course, is dead on. The thing that we want you to hear is that we're not requiring you to bring your kids to big church, but we really want you to think about why you don't and why you maybe could and should. Think about how soon those kids, it could be a situation where kids actually never come to a service until their third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, if you so chose. But yet they participate with other adult type things. And in this case, we're simply talking about worshiping together as a family in church. I really do think that they're going to get something out of watching you sing songs to the Lord. They're going to get something out of watching you listen to a sermon. Open your Bibles. And I think that those type of things are really important. I don't expect everyone to do this. I recognize that there's just sort of different spiritual levels of maturity, and everybody has a different background that's out there. But we really do want you to think about, what if?
My question would be, how else will we teach our kids to worship God if we don't bring them to service? Now, the question always is, what age? I hate to give a cookie-cutter response on that. I would say every family's different, every kid's different, and we would certainly lean into the parents and recognize you guys as the experts on your kids and knowing when's the appropriate time. We are not saying we want you to do this and then we're not going to help you. We want to equip you and help have your back in doing this. But as Bobby said, we want our kids to see adults and their parents singing to the Lord. We want to see them sit under the preached word. We want to have them witness baptisms in the Lord's Supper. I was struck by our time in Utah. They had a baptism, a lady who had left Mormonism, repented of her sin, gave her life to Christ, and they made a point to, at the end of the service when they did baptism, to get all of the kids from the kids area to come and witness that baptism. And I've had good conversations with my kids just asking about baptism. Are you baptizing today? Who are you baptizing today? And that's a win. And I would just say it is good for kids to see mom and dad and other adults worship the Lord. I would say it's also good for our souls to see little ones worshiping the Lord Jesus. And so there's an aspect of it helps us as adults grow in the faith as well.
What you guys are saying, this isn't really necessarily a change that we're making. It's more of a re-emphasis of something that we really do value at NorthWoods, which is seeing families coming together to worship. I remember I grew up in a Southern Baptist church where we had a teenage section and all of the teenagers sat together. And then I remember coming to one of our staff meetings. This has been a long time ago. And I remember, I think, Bobby, you had said, you were like, I don't want to see that. I want to see parents sitting with their kids together. And obviously you're not saying you don't want to see unity in the student ministry. Obviously we want that. But it was the idea of the parents are the ones who are working alongside, doing the hard labor kind of thing. And we love that the students do want to sit together and all of that kind of stuff. But just the idea of it's the parents coming alongside of them. And so this really isn't a change. I'm just going to make that really clear. This isn't really a change as much as it is just an encouragement for you guys to just see where our heart is at as a church family and how we desire, as Zack is saying, to come alongside of you and to help you do all of this. Just for clarification, is this a requirement for our NorthWoods church families?
Yes.
Yeah. No, this is most certainly an encouragement. So if you do not bring your 2-year-old with you to service and sit quietly and intently the whole service.
With duct tape.
Yeah. Are you an evil person? No, we're not saying that.
Yeah.
What we are saying, though, is we encourage you. We in no way want to say, hey, at this age, you have to do it, but rather we think this is really important for the discipleship of your kids.
Yeah, that's right.
And we don't want to just say, hey, we want you to do this, but rather we want to have your back and help equip you in how to do that. And we'll talk about that more some, but our next equipping seminar will be all about, man, how do we parent from the pew well, even though we don't have church pews?
So you've been bringing your kids, and with you bringing your kids, Zack, to the service, has it been always easy?
No. So if you bring your kids, if you've got small kids like me especially, are you going to get as much out of the sermon as you would otherwise? Probably not, right? But are you going to have opportunities to disciple your kids, teach your kids, invest in your kids? Yes. But no, it's not always easy. And again, every kid's different. I would say we have finally got to the point to where my 5-year-old, he gets it, I think, and he's listening to the sermon. My 3-year-old, it's hit or miss whether he's going to behave that week or not.
And Courtney may or may not either.
Exactly.
With Theo. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's important for people to hear that bringing your kids to a worship service may or may not, and in all likelihoods at times, is going to be challenging. Mm-hmm. And we know that. Mm-hmm. By the way, it also may be challenging for the people who sit around them. And this is us basically saying we need to extend grace to everyone. Absolutely. As a congregation, this is a way for us to love one another and then to go forward from there.
This also means, too, that if you don't have kids, it's a great opportunity to stuff your church bag with extra candy.
Yes.
And give it to the kids around you.
Honestly, there's truth to that.
I mean, I did grow up in a Southern Baptist church, and I remember every Sunday at Grace Baptist Church, there was a guy, I don't even remember who it was. I don't remember his name, but he had like peppermints or candy in his pocket every week, and he would greet us like around. He knew who the kids were, sort of like John Warren is with these kids, you know, going around, giving them knuckles, giving them high fives, all of that kind of stuff. But he would give out hard candy and like my mom's rule was you can't eat it until we're in church.
No.
And so then we would save it for in church and stuff. And so that was just a fun little way that people could love each other. But I also want to make sure that like people listening understand the 9:00 hour is the hour where we have kids ministry stuff, right?
At least kids ministry all the way of all ages. The second hour we have kids ministry really just for younger kids. So yeah.
So like pre-K and below.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we're trying to encourage is if you're coming to one service hour to try to bring your kids to that one service. So maybe you're a family that usually comes to the 9:00 and your kids are going upstairs to the elementary age stuff, or maybe you have high schoolers and middle schoolers. Really, I think what you're talking about is just encouraging families, even in that service hour, when stuff is being offered for all of the kids to come.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. So for example, if you're a one service family, we would prefer, so let's say mom, dad, 2 teenagers. We don't want you to have your 2 teenagers in Sunday school, the parents in worship, and then you guys leave. Rather, we want the 4 of you worshiping together. And so if you're a one-service family, if you have to pick between Sunday school or bringing your kid to worship, particularly if you've got older kids, we would prefer you not to go to Sunday school and come together and worship the Lord Jesus with the church family during that first hour. Or, again, consider praying about changing some things up. Maybe you both would want to go to Sunday school, take your kid to Sunday school. Now we have yet another adult class. We'll have 2 adult classes available for you to go to, and then your family come to the second hour.
That's really good. We have tons of families who are already doing this. So,
Yeah, that's right.
So that's something to be encouraged by. So if you're expecting your kids to be super quiet and well-behaved, and even the teenagers to stay awake the entire time during a service, that sometimes doesn't happen. And it's okay. Like Bobby said, we want to encourage grace, and we want to, as Zack mentioned, to equip you. And I think even, I'm pretty sure this is right, there's a kids bulletin available as well. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. We have kids bulletins in the back, and I believe there's some at the check-in section as well. I believe if you fill that out, and those bulletins change each week pertaining to what Bobby or whoever's in the pulpit that week is preaching. And kids, if they fill that out, then they can show that to Miss Brianna, go to her office and get some candy and things like that. So we've had a lot of kids take us up on that. And we're just constantly thinking about how can we make this a space that's more accommodating to kids. Addressing kids in service, providing some goodie bags with some snacks and little trinket toys and things like that. And yeah, those are some of the things. And would love any of your feedback, parents, if you've got ideas on how we can make this a space that's more accommodating to kiddos. Would love any thoughts you have on that.
I think you guys hit on this, but is there anything else that you would want to say about why it's important for parents to bring their kids to what is known in church life as big church? Or what we're calling worship service?
We would just say it is vitally important, I believe, for the discipleship of your kids, and for you for that matter, to learn how to worship God with all generations. And we believe in age-graded ministry. We just named off several of the things we offer. So what we're saying is both and. We want them to have age-graded ministry, but we also want them building relationships and worshiping the Lord with all generations.
Agree.
Cool. All right. So that's a lot of the family ministry stuff that's been going on. But like you mentioned earlier, we have the gathering as well that takes place. What's going on with the gathering specifically regarding family ministry?
Sure. The gathering is, as many of you guys know, a unique thing, right? So I was talking with Bobby today, and I think yesterday we talked about this, but it's like, I can't say, well, this church is doing the gathering this way, so we should try this. We're the only church that I know of that's doing anything like this, and so we're constantly trying to think about, particularly in my role, thinking about how can we do this best for the next generation and make it a more useful time for them. And so some of the changes that we are making, that we're trying, at least this semester, I say this often, we see teenagers not as kids, but as emerging adults. And so we want to treat them less like kids and more like adults and prepare them for that moment where we have Graduate Sunday and we launch them out into the world. And for this reason, what we're going to try is dispersing our teenagers throughout adult tables rather than keeping them separately at a table, which has been with me and my wife, Courtney. Really, the desire there is not for them just to hear from me or Courtney or one adult, but we want them hearing from several voices. And really, we want them building relationships with other adults. We think that is vital. And really, I believe that will be a better atmosphere, better recipe, if you will, for more adult conversation around the Bible. We're aware of the frightening statistics that's out there of teenagers and young adults that leave the faith and leave the church. The probability of them staying in church goes up significantly if their parents or parent loves Jesus and is following Jesus and discipling them. And 2, if they have relationships with other godly adults that are investing in them. And really the gathering is the main space that we have discipleship happening in that regard. And so we desire to connect teenagers with godly adults and equip parents to disciple their kids as well.
I appreciate the willingness to continuously try something new. And this is an opportunity for us as a church to say, what if we did this and engaged our youth with more adults? And we have a history at NorthWoods of always looking to figure out maybe we could do it differently and better. This is an effort to do that. So this next semester, what I would be saying, if you're at a gathering table and you have 1 or 2 teenagers who join your table, engage. The worst thing you could do is to disengage from those youth and make them feel like outsiders. You need to engage with them. Do not look at them as barriers to conversation, but use them as brokers for new conversations that you would not have about certain topics, except that they think in a new way that you don't think. Maybe you're going to learn something culturally that you would have never learned. It's a good thing for that to happen. And now you're a voice. You're not the parent's voice. The parent's voice, we've already said, should be the number one discipling voice. But you are a crucial voice that is an outside voice, hopefully communicating exactly what the parents are saying. I think this is a good opportunity for us to try something. Is it going to work? I don't know. Give me a few months.
Let us get through signups even.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, we start signups on Sunday. I will say, us doing this, I think it's important for everybody to know, there are some challenges for us. Some challenges for us because we're going to be adding teenagers to tables. This is a process for us that's going to be different, but the gathering was new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that we're trying something new should not be shocking.
Yeah. And I think I can only say from the girls, because I see who's all being discipled from the girls, but we already have several of our middle school and high school girls who are being discipled by not just college age girls, but by other moms and other grandmas even. And so it is a really cool thing that NorthWoods has. And the teenagers always need a little push, but so do the adults.
Yeah.
Because teenagers actually are really not that scary. Sometimes the adults are more scared of the teens than the teens are of the adults, which I think is fun. But we're going to do our best to make it all happen through the signups and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and part of my desire to step away from a table is to be more hands-on with our kiddos and thinking through how we can make that hour for your kids. We are trying to think through a more efficient process of how to feed your kids, make sure your kids get fed, and get them upstairs so that they can get some age-appropriate teaching. And so we'll give you more information related to that soon.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so we have some fun church stuff coming up regarding family ministry things. So let's talk first about the back to school day. What exactly is that? When is it? What's happening? Give us all the things.
Yeah, we have had a formal relationship really with North Junior High, especially North High School. We've got some exciting things in the works at Oak Hill. And so this is a desire, just like Friend Day that we did at Super Bowl Sunday, we see that as being a huge success. We really didn't do a whole lot other than say, hey, invite people, and you guys did. And so very much so, this is an opportunity for us to do that while recognizing school is starting back. And so that Back to School Friend Day, which is happening Sunday, August the 11th, we will want to take some time to pray for teachers and bless teachers with an Amazon gift card to help with school supplies, and just be a way that we can bless our community. And all teachers, schools are invited to that. We'll pray for our students as well. And then after the second hour, we will have stuff for kids. So bouncy houses, we'll have food for everyone. And so that's just an opportunity for us to engage the community while also encouraging you guys to invite your friends.
One of the things that we've been saying is if you're listening to this and you don't have kids, hopefully you have a friend. This is one of those events that I'm excited about as it relates to us being able to use it for an outreach in every way. So the Friend Day we had in February was related to Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl Sunday / Friend Day. This is Back to School Bash / Friend Day. If this doesn't work, then next year we'll try something new because that's the philosophy of NorthWoods. We throw stuff up against the wall and we've never done this before. So here we go. We're going to have an impact on schools and teachers and students with August 11th Back to School Bash / Friend Day. So if y'all want this to happen in the future, then you need to be inviting people now.
Yeah,
and,
which we have cards.
We have tons of cards. We just use them. And you get a bunch of them this coming Sunday.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. And so even if you have preschool kids or even if you have grandkids and they don't have churches, this is a good opportunity to just invite anyone and everyone. It doesn't have to be school specific. Literally, it is a friend day with a school emphasis, just like Bobby was saying. The last friend day was Super Bowl emphasis, but we're excited. And man, if your kids are excited about that new backpack, they could carry it for all I care. We just want you here.
That's right.
So that's really cool. Zach, you also have a family equipping seminar coming up. I know you talked a little bit about that, but give us the date. What are you guys talking about?
Sure. Yeah. So Back to School Sunday's August the 11th, and then we have 2 other really exciting things happening the following 2 Sundays. And so the following Sunday, August the 18th, will be our next family equipping seminar. Those happen once a quarter. As I said earlier, that's a time that will be upstairs in the large Sunday school room right after the second service. Anyone who signs up for that will have free lunch. We'll have free resources for our parents. And we try to touch on a topic pertaining to parents. And so that particular equipping seminar will be focusing on really, how do you parent from the pew? We're asking you guys to bring kids to worship service. We are not saying bring your kid to worship service and figure it out. Rather, we want to help equip you and help give you some really practical tips on what does that look like? How do you get the most out of Sunday worshiping together as a family? And so that will be happening August the 18th. And then the following Sunday, August the 25th, just a reminder that we will have that new Sunday school class. And really, that's been a desire really of 2 things. One, we love the equipping seminars. That's something that Matt started years ago that I think has been very helpful. But I don't know that offering an equipping thing for parents once a quarter, in my mind, is enough. And so we want to provide something for you every week. So this is just yet another opportunity. Maybe you can't make an equipping seminar. This is an opportunity for you to come during the first hour and just give you more options. And the other desire, too, is, hey, we want to just have more Sunday school classes available for adults so that you have the option to drop your kid at Sunday school, you go to Sunday school, and then you guys worship together as a family in the second hour. And by God's grace, once the building is complete, we will have more options because we'll have more room.
Good.
Anything else?
I'm great. This has been fun.
Fun. Family ministry. Yay.
Good job, guys.
Good job. All right, we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the NorthWoods Church Matters podcast. If you'd like to find out more about NorthWoods Church, you can visit us at our website, www.northwoodschurch.org. Again, that's www.northwoodschurch.org.